Hey everybody, so this is the long-awaited review of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Let's get right into it. Now, I'm sure you've heard this hundreds of times, but Sega created Sonic the Hedgehog as a killer app for the Sega Genesis to overthrow Nintendo's hold on the video game market. And as we all know, in recent years, around the early 2000s, let's just say things started to sour. And back around 2016, when we heard we'd be getting a live action Sonic the Hedgehog movie, it was quite the laughingstock, especially with the reputation of Sonic the Hedgehog and video game movies. And of course, I don't think I need to tell you all about the horrendous original movie design and that weird trailer with Gangster's Paradise. I'm telling you, I still wake up in a cold sweat thinking about that. Now, I went into this movie expecting it to be not the utmost quality, but I went to go see it on Valentine's Day, opening day, not just because I'm lonely, but also because these corporations who only really care about money, I wanted to show them that when they listen to the fans, we will give them money, because that's really all these corporations care about. But regardless of how I thought the film's quality was going to be, I just wanted to, but I pretty much went to go see it as a statement. Also, maybe out of morbid curiosity, as a fan of the franchise, oh, Sonic, it's like a car crash. You just can't look away. But to my surprise, I ended up really enjoying it. Now, I've never been too big of a fan of Roger Craig Smith as the voice of Sonic. I think he sounds a little too old. I think he worked great in the Sonic Boom, not that horrible game, but the pretty good show. I thought he worked very well in that show, but personally, as just the voice of Sonic, I'm not that big into him. I'm aware of Ben Schwartz from shows like DuckTales and Parks and Recreation, but I from the beginning I thought he was a great choice. I could very easily envision him playing Sonic the Hedgehog, and I really think he brought a very unique energy to the role. I really appreciated how a lot of improvisational comedy played off. It surprisingly made me chuckle quite a few times. Now, it's a terrible, terrible shame that the VFX artists were all laid off after this film, and I just figured I would get that out of the way first because what they did on Sonic, in the redesign, is phenomenal. He looks spectacular. For what they did a phenomenal job, and it's a real shame that they all got laid off, so I hope all those incredibly talented artists find work soon. And I think Tyson Hess did. I love his work. I'm blown away. I'm a huge fan of his art, especially when it comes to the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. And again, he completely hit it out of the park, just like he did with the Archie comics and the new comics by Midway. I've yet to check those out, but I think I will just because I love his art. And of course, Sonic Mania Adventures and the opening thing for Sonic Mania. So yeah, all the artwork was good. Now, before I get into, story details, I would just like to talk about this film is reintroducing us to the character of Sonic the Hedgehog. It's kind of a new interpretation of him. The original is very cocky and always got a one-liner, and, he's very self-confident, self-assured, sort of the spirit of adventure almost. And there's definitely a lot of that in this, but also the original character of Sonic the Hedgehog, who's like, in the canon, he's supposed to be 15, but nowadays they write him more as a bit of an older teenager, like maybe 16, 17. But in this film, they age him down quite a bit. The director, Jeff Fowler, has said this version of Sonic is somewhere in between like 11 and 13. So the Sonic is a lot younger, and he's a lot more impressionable, and he has some fears and self-doubts, which I felt the emotional moments pulled off very convincingly. Though having Sonic the Hedgehog go have insane depressed episodes, yes, I was, emotional, of course, because it's trying to make you emotional, but it was kind of funny just that he would just go into these existential crises. Ugh. I mean, it was weird, kind of, but it'll take some getting used to. But I really enjoyed it. He did very much seem like a young child who was very excited and easily impressionable. But yeah, I really liked his characterization in this movie. He had some funny lines. Jim Carrey was very good. I thought it was just going to be regular 90s Jim Carrey feel, like Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, Ace Ventura. But it was to an extent, but I appreciated how they took that and kind of channeled that energy into a more menacing sort of characterization of Dr. Robotnik. There was one shot I loved where he puts down his like sunglasses, and he has like the mustache, and he's all red, and in the reflections you can see like all electrified blue Sonic, and like just the contrasting colors. I loved the way that looked. It was awesome. This also is reintroducing us to the character of Dr. Robotnik. Again, Sonic and Robotnik, this kind of an origin story for both of them, and we start to see them come into the way we used to, see them in the games. But, so this Dr. Robotnik is very different from the original, but, towards the end of the movie, we actually do get to see hints at, him becoming more like the one that we know. Which is interesting, but yeah, I loved their dynamics, Sonic and Dr. Robotnik. I wish we had more scenes of those two, because Jim Carrey and Ben Schwartz played off each other incredibly well. Also, in movies like The Smurfs and Yogi Bear and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Hop, which coincidentally also stars James Marsden, a lot of those movies are not great. And Alvin and the Chipmunks, they're just sort of like CGI characters come to our world, and they don't, it's whatever. And the movies are really about the human characters and whatever problems they have. I liked this film was definitely about Sonic the Hedgehog. And usually the human characters are very generic, but James Marsden and James Marsden's wife, I forget their character names, they were very good. Like, again, they were secondary characters to Sonic, but I really liked them. Those two played off each other very well, and James Marsden's character and Sonic played off each other very well. They sort of had like a father-son dynamic going on there, which I actually really liked. It was fun watching those two interact. Everybody in who was live action did a great job, since they were talking to like a beanbag or like a tripod with a little dot on it, or they did a great job. It was very convincing. Now, I'm not trying to call this movie some kind of masterclass of filmmaking. It was just a genuinely enjoyable kids film that I highly recommend you go see. Very welcoming to newcomers to the Sonic franchise. If you don't know anything about Sonic, all you need to know is he's a blue cartoon hedgehog who goes fast. However, prepare yourself, because in this film there is flossing.
Da, da, da.
Hey, Andrew.
No, never. Bad.
When everybody over the age of 10 in the theater groaned. Haunts my dreams. But other than that, this film was very well done. Now, I love Pokemon. You guys know that. I don't need to say that. And I really liked Detective Pikachu, but Detective Pikachu was alright. This movie is genuinely a good film. I still enjoy Detective Pikachu, but it's less of a good movie as if it is just a good video game movie or a good Pokemon movie, and that's really not hard to do, because most video game movies are pretty bad. But this one is actually pretty good. Now we're getting into spoiler territory. So during the post-credit scene, Tails, the fox, Miles Tails per hour, shows up, teasing a possible sequel, which I am excited for. However, I am a little annoyed that they used Tails' actual voice actor, like the Tails voice actor from the games, and Sonic as a new one. They should have just gotten a new voice actor for Tails, but whatever. Also, I liked that in the beginning of the film, the race of creatures chasing after Sonic were the Echidna tribe from Sonic Adventure. That was a cool detail. I hope we get to see Knuckles in the second one. Yeah, and another spoiler, I think Longclaw the Owl, Sonic's mother figure. Ironically, this film has the pacing is a little too fast. I wish we could have gotten to. We only get 1 minute of screen time of her. I wish we'd gotten to see Sonic interacting with her a bit more. Also, it seems when they did the whole redesign thing that Longclaw the Owl got kind of skipped over because she looks like she would fit more in with the older design than the new one. But she's very realistic looking. But other than that, I don't think I have any other thoughts on the movie. I genuinely think you guys should go see this one. This movie gets in a solid 8 out of 10. Go see it.